complications. Insulin so close. I'm sitting like
Good afternoon. What's happening? What's happening, family? Welcome to the show. It is Michelle Bryant here at WNOV 860 AM, 106.5 FM. Woo! It's gonna be a long day today. I only say that because I went to bed at 3 o'clock this morning.
Hey, wait a minute.
And somebody out in the outer office area tried to say something about you can't do what you used to do.
Mm-hmm.
And was like pushing the rocking chair up underneath me. I was like, what is you doing? She said, well, I'm not gonna be sitting by myself. So, Carolyn trying to act like she was gonna put me up on game that I can't stay out to 3 a.m. and then get up at 6. There's a little truth to that right now.
A whole lot of truth to that right now.
What's happening, Jay? How you doing this afternoon, bro?
Well,
you good?
I'm good now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Work it out.
I'm good.
And young Carvey is not in the studio with us. We have old Debo. So just in case anybody wanted to say hey to Carvey. Y'all got old Dusty up in here today.
Old Dusty Dusty Rose.
So, look, family, just to put you up on game, this is going to be a day with a couple of interviews in it. We are actually waiting, top of the hour, expecting a phone call. So I'm not going to get in. Somebody said I cannot hear anything. So
that'll probably
do
help.
I need to start all over?
That'll probably help.
Do I need to start all over?
Yeah, that'll probably help.
So I had all them jokes about Debo and nobody heard him?
Nobody heard them. Nobody heard. They just saw our mouths moving like the Chinese movie.
Let me just say it again. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. What's happening, family? Welcome to the show. It is Michelle Bryant here at the Midweek Flow here at WNOV 860 AM, 106.5 FM. I just got done complaining about the fact that a sister is tired because I ain't go to bed till 3 and was up at 6. I said that one of our, amazing colleagues out in the other office wanted to, kind of remind me that I might be getting a little too seasoned to be functioning on 3 hours of sleep.
Moving on up the ladder.
Yeah, no.
I mean, we are moving up the ladder.
Well, y'all go ahead.
Yeah.
Nah.
I mean, I want to keep getting older because that means that you're living.
Go ahead. I got you.
All right.
I'm
going to look good in the process of doing it.
Of course.
I'm going to get my Billy D. Williams tubs on from Miami Vice.
Not the Miami Vice.
Tubs. I'm getting my tubs.
You going to wear the jackets too?
Everything.
You got to roll them up.
With the chest out and everything. I ain't got no chest hairs though, so I'm going to be sexy. I ain't got no chest hairs, baby. It's all baby lotion right here, baby.
Messing up the suit.
Yeah, messing up the suit.
Greasing up the suit. Glistening and greasing up the
chestnuts roasting on an open fire. Jack Frost glistening.
Oh, you know what? Speaking of roasting and fire, I go through the drive-through today because, y'all, what I was saying is I'm expecting an interview at the top of the hour. So don't y'all call in with y'all, pressing concerns because I'm not going to answer the phone until after I do the interview. Then, hey, the floor is open. Feel free to get it in, whatever you need to say. Also said that Carvey is not here. Young Carvey is not here. We have old Debo in the building. Old Faithful is sitting here.
You said old Buick, huh?
in Carvey spot.
Oh man.
So JT, when you do call today, don't call and hit him out Carvey.
Right. No, Carvey though. So what do you call him?
He call him Carvey now.
He call him Carvey now.
He got it.
We're gonna tell it like a tease.
But speaking of fire, I go through the drive-through because I got up late, so I didn't even eat till like 12 o'clock today. I had a headache. I was like, stop and get you something to eat. That's what's wrong.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting in the car waiting for them to, the cars move around so I can place my order.
Mm.
And all this smoke is coming up. And I'm like, what is up with this smoke? And I look at the dude's vehicle in front of me and I was like, is this his car? I'm talking about white plumes, just smoke. And I was like, no, this is like fire smoke. And it's right by my car.
Whoa.
So I get out of the car and I see it, a bunch of brush, like leaves and stuff, is on fire and actual embers. And dead in the middle of it, somebody had threw a cigarette butt out of their car window
into the pile.
And they just threw it out the window and it hit that pile and it started a fire. And so literally, I ended up having a bottle of water in my car. I always keep water in the car and I was able to put it out. But y'all, please, 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 right now, this ain't the season to just be randomly throwing, your used cigarette that you have not put out yet. Please don't do that because it started a fire in a drive-through with actual flames. Okay. So that's my public service announcement for today. All right. So as you all know, we are talking all things election. This continues to be the remaining couple of days of the National Voter Education Voter Awareness Week. And a lot of conversations have been had reminding people why it's important to be engaged, to make sure that you make a voting plan. As we looked at what went on with Hurricane Milton and Hurricane Helene, we understand now that, people are scrambling, trying to figure out if those folks, in fact, are going to be able to vote. So we are talking, again, all things elections, all things voter engagement, all things voter information. And to that point, I am so thrilled for a conversation that we're about to have, that the audience will have an opportunity to hear from none other than Maya Harris. Now, if that name sounds familiar, Maya Harris, where did I see Maya Harris? You may have seen her at the DNC giving an incredible speech about her big sister, none other than Vice President Kamala Harris. So let me check and see if we have her on the line. Maya, are you there?
Hi, Michelle. I'm here, and I'm so happy to be here. Thank you for having me.
No, we are thrilled that you were able to join us today. I'm going to tell you, Maya, as I was doing some reading to, just prepare for the interview, I came across a number of striking similarities between you and I that literally had my eyes tearing up. So
tell me.
Yeah, look. So if I could, before we talk about your sister and the work that's being done to try to get her across the finish line in November, as I'm reading the background on you, and I see you graduate from high school. I see you become a mom shortly after high school graduation. Myself, yep. Similar situation. And I read in the article that you talked about going to school and juggling work and trying to be a mom and raising, your daughter. And it took me back to watching my son sit next to me in my classes while I was an undergraduate student. And, he had a backpack, I had a backpack, and we going to school together. And then I went on further to read about Mina and how, she has become this incredible young woman, and just the story that you kind of weave about that work ethic and continuing to try and being a role model and an example, and at the same time picking a career that was about service. So if I could, for just a second, I want to make sure that our audience understands who you are and the journey that you've been on alongside your sister, even though you're the baby. But can you take a moment and just please introduce yourself to people, Maya?
Oh, thank you so much, Michelle. And I love you talking about you and your son and him sitting next to you with his backpack, because I was 17 when I had my daughter, young single mom, and I was determined to finish college and then go on to law school like my big sister, and with my child in tow. That's and but to your point, that really came from how we grew up and how we were raised. We were raised, our parents were involved in the civil rights movement. And so, issues of rights and justice were really conversations around the dinner table when we were growing up. And our mother and father, really underscored the importance of us, getting our education and how education can be a pathway to opportunity. And so even at, becoming a young mom, I was really determined to both make a life for myself and my child and, complete my education, but also determined to still pursue a path of justice and service. And so I did end up going to law school. I became a civil rights lawyer and policy advocate, and have really dedicated my life to the pursuit of justice. And it's something that, of course, my sister has done, Kamala has done as well. And, we both have charted different paths, but united in that cause of seeking justice. And, again, it really comes from how we grew up and the values that we were raised with. And it's why we fight for what we fight for. It's both about our lived experience growing up, in a hardworking middle class community, but also the opportunities that we have had and that everyone deserves, no matter who you are, where you come from, or what language you speak, or what neighborhood you grew up in, that we all deserve opportunities to succeed. And I think that is something that, comes from, again, how we were raised and our own lived experience, and then what we've seen as we have, come up in the world.
So, and just for a second, because I'm glad you invoked your parents into the conversation. First of all, how do you pronounce your mom's name? Because I want to make sure I say it correctly.
Shamala.
It is Shamala.
So Shamala, Kamala, and Maya. So, I would say, well, why didn't I get an Amala name? But so no, it's Shamala, Kamala, and Maya. So you can say Kamala, you can say Shamala.
Shamala, yeah. Okay. So I'm reading about both your parents, and that foundation of folks that are civically engaged, willing to raise their voices, willing to go to protest marches, bringing you all along, making sure you were learning as they were engaging. I'm blown away by that. But then I also academically, your parents were some bosses. Like your mom, I'm looking at her career and I'm just like, I'm sorry, what kind of scientist was this woman? Your mother, fearless, coming to this country at 19 years of age and like setting out a chart and charting a path to do things that would elevate her, be able to position her to help take care of you and your sister. Just a moment, if you would, because when I read that she wanted to, one of her passions was to try to find a cure for breast cancer. Can you take a moment and just talk about that foundational piece in terms of your parents?
Yes, absolutely. So my mother was a breast cancer researcher. She had devoted her life to finding a cure for breast cancer. And so when she came to the United States when she was 19 years old in 1958, I mean, it was virtually unheard of. So to your point, she really was fearless and courageous, something that I feel we have inherited by example when she came here. But, I think it's important when she came here by herself, she actually got to the United States and found a community that embraced her. And I think that in that respect, one of the values that we've learned, through word and deed is this idea that we all have so much more in common than what separates us, and how we all really want the same things for our children and our families and our communities. And that the thing at the core that we all want is the freedom to fulfill our God-given potential, And so for my mother, she wanted to raise her two daughters to grow up and understand and believe that we could be and do anything and everything. And then she also had this passion for caring for other people and finding a cure for breast cancer. But on this point about, also the justice piece, one of the things that was really important to my mother, even in her search for a cure for breast cancer, was the disparities that exist in the incidence of breast cancer. And so while she was doing her science by day and her research a resource in various community-based organizations that were addressing the healthcare disparities and specifically the incidence of breast cancer disparities among Black women. Because, again, she understood that we needed to find a cure for breast cancer, but we also needed to understand why and address why some communities were experiencing this in a much more severe way. And so we saw and watched all of that, as we were growing up. We used to not volunteer. That's a misstatement. That was
volunteer.
We used to volunteer in her lab. But no, she used to cart us off to the lab on the weekends because she had to go to work. We had jobs. I would do a lot of filing. Kamala would wash the beakers and the pipettes. So we weren't like idle when we went with her to work. She put us to work. So we learned that too.
and then, I thought about your father being an economist, Mr. Donald Harris, like just the world view that you all get exposed to. I became envious right away because I'm like, you have a blend of cultures and ethnicities, interests and passions, people that are highly learned and, like I said, but also boots on the ground. You get, like, on some level, you get to have the best of a lot of worlds, Maya.
We do feel blessed in that way, that we grew up with parents who saw our potential and really supported us to meet our potential, who really had high expectations for us, to be clear.
Look, I heard everything you were saying in that.
In terms of what we would do with whatever opportunities that we were able to have. What was very clear to us, through the way that we were raised, that we had a duty and a responsibility to leave this world more fair and more just for more people than when we entered it. And we really could see that, and that was instilled in us from a young age. And so we do feel very blessed in that way. One of the things, though, that is, I think, having had that experience, that for Kamala is so important, is for everyone to have those opportunities regardless of their family circumstances, right? And so we feel, blessed with all of the community and family that we had. But, for families that may not have that, they still, if they don't have extended family for childcare, why don't we have childcare available for everybody who needs childcare, right? And so that families can get ahead, and why don't we have multiple pathways to opportunity? Yes, many people will want to go to college, and some people either will not have college within reach or may not want that path, but they still should have the opportunity to pursue their passion, develop the skills, start a business, for example, if they want to start a business. And so I think that understanding that we have no shortage of ability to support people's potential and to expand opportunity is at the core of who Kamala is. And it's why she fights for what she fights for. And it's why, as she's talking about her vision for the future, why she's talking about a new way forward that includes, yes, people being able to find a good paying job, to be able to buy a home, to start a small business, but also to build wealth so that you have something to pass on to your children. Again, coming back to the idea that we all want the same things for our children, our families, our communities, and that we should be able to live in prosperous communities no matter where you live or who you are or where you come from. And so that's why she talks about the middle class not just getting by, but getting ahead. And it has so many plans for that, as opposed to Donald Trump and J.D. Vance, who are just looking out for themselves and who'd rather give tax breaks to corporations and billionaires than worry about whether everybody has an opportunity to succeed. And who, Kamala thinks that our diversity is not a weakness. It is our greatest strength. Unlike Donald Trump and J.D. Vance promoting division and, and separating people. And that's because they understand that when the people come together, we have the power, right? And so when we talk about what is at stake in this election and two different visions for the future, you can go forward with Kamala Harris, or we can go backward with Donald Trump and J.D. Vance and their Project 2025 agenda, which most certainly would take us back. And I would encourage your listeners to Google, do your research on Project 2025, because as soon as you look at it, you will understand that that is not the direction that any of us want to go in this country.
You know, I know time is limited, so I just want to get one thing in before you get out of here, Maya, in terms of just a full circle moment, because, you know, I tell people all the time, you are impacted by legislation, policy, elected officials from cradle to grave. One of the most recent policy discussions that Vice President Harris has been having, the ability for seniors to stay in their home for as long as possible, proposing that Medicare pay for home health care. Can you just take a second? Because I know you all went through something similar as your mom was battling with cancer herself. We went through it in my family. So just to end on that, if you could, why that policy is so important and we should pay attention to that as well.
Yeah, thank you for raising that. And let me tell you, that policy is personal for Kamala in every way. And let me tell you why. You know, there are too many people who are having to make choices between being able to care for an aging or elderly or disabled or, you know, ailing parent, and then also having to take care of children. You know, they call it the sandwich generation, where you're taking care of your parents and you're taking care of your children.
Right.
But the point is that caregiving is so expensive, and so many struggle and figure out how to do it on their own, going bankrupt, really, trying to figure out how they're going to manage it all. You know, manage, you know, children, manage family, manage your responsibilities, and manage, you know, having parents be able to live with dignity and independence. And so she has this policy. It's historic, really. It'd be the first time ever that Medicare would cover home care for seniors. It would lower costs for families. It would let seniors live with dignity in their homes. It would actually improve quality of care and raise wages for care workers who are doing some of the most noble, important work in this country. But it's personal in that we experienced, just as my mother, mentioned, when she got cancer, how you have to negotiate and deal with the healthcare system and deal with treatment protocols and prescriptions and going to the doctor's appointments and in different facilities, and just all of the stark realities of what happens to families in situations. And we were fortunate that Mommy had, good health care, and that she had us to pull together as a family in this moment when we were going through that. But so many families are struggling and don't have that. And it shouldn't be this hard. And that is something Kamala will make a priority and fight for. And it's something she has talked about and lifted up for many, many years. And so I know as president, she would make it a priority, because we really should do more for care workers and for our families, as millions of families are confronting the same situation. You mentioned you did too, Michelle, and there's so many, I'm sure, of your listeners right now who are dealing with these issues. And I just want to say, you can absolutely count on Kamala to fight for you and to make that better for you, and that she sees you and what you are going through. And there really is a better path ahead.
Well, Maya, I don't want to take up any more of your time. I know that you are out as one of the folks that's, helping to get the message out and spread the word. We certainly appreciate the ability to have our listeners hear directly from not just a surrogate, but a family member, someone that has known Kamala from, in all of your life.
Yes, all of my life.
And I heard your little slick comment. She gonna be Big Sister Kamala until that election, is successful and she's named Madam President. But in the meantime, that's my big sister.
She's still Big Sister. Yes, Big Sister Kamala. Yes, let her elected so I can call her Madam President, because I am a woman of my word.
I know, so that's
right.
Y'all
do the work and knock on the doors, make these phone calls, and get out the vote. You will hear me call her Madam President.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Well, I'm going to let you get out of the way, but thank you so much. Continued success and health as we round out these last few weeks of this election. And hopefully we'll have a different conversation, a celebratory conversation on the other side.
Indeed, Michelle. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you, Maya. All right,
Okay,
family.
take care.
All right. All right, family. So I'm going to take a break, but I do want to come back and give you a little bit of information about the initiative of the vice president to be able to expand Medicare in a way that it covers in home health care for seniors. This is something that so many people are dealing with and struggling. And when she called it like the sandwich situation, you still are taking care of younger kids on one end, whether those are grade school age or kids that are in college, because you still helping to get them through, to get them on solid footing. And then you're also taking care of your parents at the same time. And depending on what those health challenges are for your parents, when I tell you, when we were going through it with my mother, I don't know how people did it. I don't know how people did it. It was physically exhausting and mentally exhausting. And you still had to get up and make ends meet and go to work every day and figure out how to make sure they were okay. And you felt like you were all alone sometimes. So I'm going to talk about that proposal when we get back. Michelle Bryant, WNOV, 860 AM, 106.5 FM. Give me one sec. We'll be right back. All right, family, welcome back to the show. So I apologize for the sound quality. That was not on our end in terms of the conversation that I just had with Maya Harris, the younger sister of Vice President Kamala Harris, who is out on the campaign, trail, stomping for her sister, trying to make sure that Kamala is successful in November. And there was a lot in that interview that could have been said. Time was short. We were running late on the interview, but I hope you heard some key differences that Maya outlined between Vice President Harris and former President Donald Trump. And, I think to characterize it as so many people have, you either will look back or you will look to the future. You either will go back and go back to what exactly is the question that we all should be asking when we're talking about we're going to make America great again. What period of greatness are we talking about? And what does that greatness look like for Black folks? Because we've yet to land where we need to as a people. So one of the things that I brought up in the interview with her is, like a lot of people that keep up with policy, pay attention to stuff that's going on, and understanding that this was very personal to my family as we were trying to navigate my mother being sick, and my mother had to have care at some point. And thank God I had an uncle who was actually married to my mom's middle sister, and his son who lived with my mom, moved in with my mom so that I could stay in Wisconsin and continue to work. And they looked after my mom for me. But how many people would be that fortunate? That you, and then these are two men. This is my first cousin and my auntie, my Aunt Carolyn passed first. And then, so her husband, Uncle Henry, they looked after my mom. They made it possible for me to stay in Wisconsin and not have to quit my job and potentially relocate to Birmingham. And even had I relocated, it wasn't a guarantee that I was going to be able to go to work every day, because getting to the point where my mom needed care. She needed somebody to drive her to the doctor. You needed to make sure that everything was good. I have people and friends around me that are dealing with that right now. When Sherwin Hughes tried to make a big deal of the fact that Lakeisha Myers and I share the same residence, and he tried to make it, something that he was going to talk about divisively in the campaign, he was about to get punched in his face. And I don't mean that literally. I mean, because I'm going to sue her. She threatened me. But, figuratively, because Lakeisha and I stay in the same household together, because Lakeisha only has one other sibling who lives in another state. And Lakeisha has two parents that have health challenges. And her mother currently is not walking. And so while Lakeisha, full-time state legislator, full-time employed in the school system to make sure that, she got income that can keep up with everything she got to take care of, and dealing with dialysis every day and her own healthcare challenges, that as my friend, I've made it clear, she's like a little sister to me. I'm single. My child is grown. I can live and stay anywhere I want to. I can move around any way I want to. It was no way I was going to watch my friend go through all of that by herself. And while there are extended family and friends who have certainly, said, here, I can prepare something to eat, I can come over, and make sure certain things happen if you guys are not in town or not around. Those people are not there every day, 24 hours a day. These are everyday 24-hour-a-day jobs and responsibilities. And you're trying to do that in the midst of maintaining your own career and going to work and doing the things you're responsible for, and then finding time to catch a nap and keep everything clean and keep everything moving. It's a lot. And so that's one of those moments that I had that I was super pissed with Sherwin, because I'm like, while you are trying to make something nefarious out of two people trying to figure out how to take care of the elders in their life that they care about, it's families doing this every day. We were not unique, not special, not anything. There are people doing this every day. Some of the people that was coming to help Keisha's parents had their own houses to take care of, same situations. So when Kamala Harris says, I want to figure out a way to have Medicare allow these people to stay in their homes, but get the home health care that they need, because if you're paying out of pocket, which I had to do, it will break you. You know, Mandela Barnes talked about eating peanut butter sandwiches or some nonsense in his commercials. We was just eating bread. There was no peanut butter because this care is so expensive. So when she says, I don't want people to have to lose everything either because they need Medicaid or Medicare to step in, you know, and people got these spin downs. You can own a home, but it can't be worth more than this. And really, you need to sell all your assets except for $2,000 or $3,000 and reimburse the federal government for having to help with your care. Like, I worked my whole life for this. This is institutional wealth. I'm not in a position to be able to pass this down. And you're going to force me to potentially choose and go into a nursing home where I know the care is exponentially higher than it is with me staying in my house. And there have been people already trying to tear down her proposal by talking about how expensive it is. I dare you to put these things side by side and tell me how much it costs to stay in an assisted living facility or in a nursing home and receive that care versus to be in your own home. I think about it with the conversation I was going back and forth with regarding corrections. And we have people that are nonviolent offenders, statutory violations that are sitting in correctional facilities around the state right now to the tune of $44,000 a year. If those people were released back to the community, given monitoring for about $4,400 a year, we could be saving like 40 grand a year on these people. And I think that estimate is around 6,000 people. So do the math on $40,000 times 6,000 people and see what kind of unnecessary money we are spending. So I got tall respect for somebody who says we need to figure out a way that people don't have to lose everything as they age. You worked your entire life to build, buy, pay off that home. You want to be able to leave it to your children, leave something for your grandchildren, but you get sick. And just like that, it's wiped out. It's gone. And some people are like, I'm not losing everything. I didn't work this hard my whole life for me not to be able to leave this house to my children. And so they stay in that house and don't have the full care that they need. And these people die sooner than they should have. I got tall respect for somebody who understands that. Kamala Harris's mother died of colon cancer. She came to this country at the age of 19 to specifically work on breast cancer. I've never gotten the full story about why she was so hell-bent on breast cancer, why that was such a passion for her, only to end up at the age of, I think, like 70, because her mother died in 2009 when she was running for AG. But to end up on chemo and going through many of the things that you were working so hard to try to prevent for other people. And reading the stories about how the friends in Kamala's life, while she was running the vice president's life, while she was running for attorney general, her friends would take turns sitting at the hospital because she wanted to make sure she and her sister, that her mother always had somebody with her. That this woman never thought for 5 minutes that she was alone. That's the kind of heart that comes to the White House versus the dude who's in some brothel laying up with some nasty chick cheating on his pregnant wife. That's the difference. That's the difference. But then I see some comments from a few people that when I tell you hair standing up on the back of my neck, because Eddie Griffin, the comedian, undercover brother Eddie Griffin, Deuce Bigelow, couple of, whatever else you can think of with Eddie Griffin. So, he's getting his 5 minutes of, additional fame because he's out dissing Kamala Harris. Okay, you don't have to like Kamala Harris. You don't have to like her policies. But what you don't get to do is call her a B. So on some show, a podcast, which has now gone viral, and this story is now in every media outlet you can find. This black man is saying this about Kamala Harris, the comedian. Quote, I don't know what the F you thinking voting for Kamala. She's a puppet, y'all. She has zero experience. Nobody respects her on the world stage. He goes on to say, how you gonna vote for a lying stinking B? And he calls her Kalian Harris. He said, everybody I talk to don't like you. This is what he's saying, on the podcast to Kamala. Ain't nobody gonna vote for you. And then he goes on to say, here's your choices, America, the liar or the crook. I think I might be going with the crook. God damn it. He then goes on to say, in a humorous way, that Trump has certain credentials with the black community because, quote, he's got 3 baby mamas, 43 felony cases and counting, selling hot top tennis shoes just like Michael Jordan, just got shot like Tupac. That mother blank gonna drop an album next.
Shell, listen here. So you would, okay, first of all, you call her a liar. Under what?
Not just a liar, a lying B.
On top of that. But you got this.
Why this level of disrespect and vitriol? Because don't present yourself as somebody who's getting ready to talk about politics and policy, but then you resort to, because you didn't offer up anything. You didn't make a comparative difference policy wise between her and Trump.
Right.
And with everything that Trump is, he ain't a dirty lying B. Like, I'm just, I've never fully been a fan of dudes because he just wasn't that funny to me. But I'll go along to get along. I can do that every now and then.
You're a clown.
But what I didn't appreciate is that this is the image that you, brother, wanted to be broadcast all over the country of you degrading this woman in this way, which has nothing to do with policy.
Unbelievable.
The fact that you thought it was okay to frame it in this way. Disagree all day. Be a Republican, vote however you want to. I would defend your right to do all of that. May not understand it, but I would defend it. But what I cannot abide by is the way there are men who think it's okay to talk about this politician in this way because it's sexist and it's demeaning and it has no place in public discourse when we're talking about something as serious as somebody being the president of the United States. And to be able to say that she's a liar, but not in anyway offer up exactly what it is she lied about. But Donald Trump, the lies keep coming every single day. He's lying right now about the FEMA response. He's lying right now about what's going on in Aurora, Colorado in these gangs. He's lying in real time. There is a fact check of over 30-something thousand lies that this man has told, that people actually went out and counted and damn near wrote a book about the number of lies, official fact check lies that Donald Trump has told. But somehow Eddie Griffin can't bring that to the conversation. Whatever lie or mistruth or misspeak, you think you got on Kamala, how do you get past? Let me go put an exact number. Donald Trump lies. I'm just gonna say 30,000 times because I can't remember the exact number. And there it is. This was done in 2021. Trump's false or misleading claims total over 30,573 lies that they can verifiably document over the course of 4 years. Y'all, I don't even know if I said 30,000 words. Well, okay, in this job, probably so. But in 2021, the Washington Post went through and fact-checked Donald Trump's statements over the course of a 4-year period. And in 4 years, they found that this dude had lied almost 31,000 times. But Eddie Griffin gets his behind on a podcast and calls Kamala Harris a lying bee. And I got to choose if I'm going to go with the lying bee or the crook. And I think I might go with the crook. But this is the thing, doofus, who is he stealing from? Because while he was in office, he was stealing from the American people. What was he stealing? He was stealing inflated hotel rates because he had Secret Service staying at his hotel every weekend, damn near, that he went to one of his golf resorts. And he had figured out, oh, this is a hustle. This is a cash cow. I'm charging them above market rate, them being the American people who are footing my Secret Service detail bill. So how much money can I make? And he did it his entire 4 years in office. Who was he stealing from? When we're at the height of COVID and trying to get vaccines out and these kits to people and, doing whatever we had to do, Donald Trump feels it necessary to make sure that he takes away resources from the American people to send to Vladimir Putin in terms of COVID-19. How does that work? How does it work that the American people, we don't have enough PPE, we don't have enough this, we don't have enough that, and he siphons off COVID-19 test kits and all of this stuff to send to Vladimir Putin. And Putin has to tell him, hey, bruh, you might not want to let your people know you sending this to me because they're going to be mad with you, not me. They're going to be mad with you. Donald Trump basically says, so I don't care, but okay, fine. I won't tell it. Then Bob Woodward ends up, getting this information from a source, puts it in his book. What does Donald Trump do? Eddie Griffin, who's so worried about somebody telling a lie, he lies immediately and says he never did that he never sent COVID-19 test kits to Vladimir Putin. And what happens? The Kremlin puts out a statement. Yes, he did. He lying. He sent them. Did y'all need the dates, the shipping barcodes, the pictures of Vladimir testing them out? What do you need? What did you need? He lied instantaneously. And then, you know, you got to berate and dog and clown people every step of the way. But the Kremlin, your boys, your people, they came straight out the gate and said, yeah, he sent him. Yeah, he sent him. And so we haven't heard Trump say now that the Russians is lying. Have y'all heard that press release, or has that been posted to Truth Social? Is that on fake Twitter? Like, have you seen it? Because I ain't seen him call the Kremlin a lie yet. He called Bob Woodward a lie, but he ain't called the Kremlin a lie. When they official folks came out and said, yeah, he sent it. But Eddie Griffin fixes his raggedy mouth to call this woman a lying bee. And I'm going to ignore lies being told in real time. I may just support the crook. And then he do have, you know, something in common with us because he got 3 baby mamas. Barack Obama had 1. It's a whole bunch of brothers just got 1. The majority of black folks ain't never been shot. The majority of black folks don't own Jordans. I got to take a break. I'll be right back. and he was cutting up. And Debo went to go open the door to tell our guests we ready in the middle of Ride Out's performance.
You know I'm cutting up.
And so Debo turns around like, hey, man, come on. Come on, look at the reception area. And he looked up like, oh, she know me. This family. Everybody know we got the special cousins and we just accept them. I am ecstatic today to welcome to the studio. And I said, what should I call you? Should I call you pastor? Should I say reverend? Should I say doctor? Should I say big baller shot caller? I was trying to figure out most appropriate name for none other than Miss Valerie Daniels Carter. How you doing today, Miss Carter?
Hey, Michelle, how you doing? I'm doing great.
You look amazing.
Amazing.
You are coming back off of a extended, was this like a mission trip that you were on? I saw you before you were leaving that Sunday at the church. I was gonna borrow your piece you had on. I was like, was it red? Red fire. I was like, oh, I'm gonna look good in that. Then I thought, well, I'll at least let her get home with it. But just real quick, so where did you go?
We went to Kenya. We went to Bangkok and Vietnam.
Oh my God. So ironically, I ended up being in the salon with Chandra Cooper. And she was saying that she was going to make, take a trip. We didn't go into a lot of details, but it just kind of came up. And then when I heard you, I said, this got to be the same trip. And so was this a mission trip?
Absolutely. We do it every year.
Okay.
We had
Hang
the
on.
opportunity to,
We got to do a different. Hang on one second.
okay.
Want to make sure your mic is working. I'll switch her up. Hang on one second, family. We just gonna switch the mics, make sure that we have an ability to make sure y'all can hear her.
Okay, there we go.
Oh, that's
We do it every year. I've been doing it now. Next year will be 35 years. I've been going to Kenya.
Are you 35 years?
35 years. 35 years.
What?
And this year we did 2 medical camp days. And we took 35 individuals over, and we had 275 volunteers from Kenya, and they were able to take care of over 4,100 patients in 2 days. It was an amazing, amazing time. We gave out over 1,800 baskets of food for elderly and widows. We dedicated the land for a nursing school we're getting ready to build over there. So just a lot of good stuff going on.
Oh my! And you still standing? You're not tired?
Oh, well, I am tired now.
Look, if you're not tired, I'm tired. Just listening to it. Well, first of all, amazing work. I had an opportunity to go to Kenya. I was in Masamara last year.
Mm-hmm.
Ultimately ended up in South Africa. Now I was just there on safari. I wasn't doing nothing. I wasn't doing no mission work. I was absorbing all of the culture. But that jet lag, that time difference, it took a lot, to recover. And you just got back when yesterday?
Yes.
And you sitting here today.
Absolutely. We got to do what we got to do, girl.
So see, that speaks to one of the reasons why we here. Entrepreneurship, when you work for yourself, hustle, drive, the ability to realize if I don't move, it doesn't happen. And so you are actually now also getting ready to host a major leader and entrepreneur summit.
Absolutely.
Please. First of all, I don't know where you find the time, but take a few minutes to tell us about what this summit is about.
So what actually happened, Michelle, when COVID first started, I would get so many calls from business leaders and corporate leaders all across the country saying, how do I survive? How do I make it?
Now, wait, just so people are clear, because while, it'd be hard pressed to find somebody that doesn't know who Valerie Daniels Carter is. But for those, I had somebody call us yesterday from Germany. And so for our listeners that don't know who you are and why people would be calling you for business advice about how to make it through COVID, take a second and tell people a little bit about, what you do in terms of your background.
I'm the president and CEO of V&J Holdings Company, which is the largest female-owned restaurant organization in the world.
Wait, you said in the world?
Mhm.
I just get smaller and smaller over here every day. I am so just not living up to my potential. Okay, keep going.
No, board member of the Green Bay Packers and minority owner of the Milwaukee Bucks.
You just want to slap me with all of it?
All of it at one time. It's called faith and favor.
you just want to say, get your act together, Michelle, right now. Oh my goodness. So the one question I've always said, if I ever had a chance to have a conversation, that I would ask, because by the time we all see, or really paying attention, you already have done and amassed and are still acquiring different roles and taking different risks and new opportunities. But I always go back to, how did you do the first one? What said in you that I want to be a restaurant owner? I can do this. Because we think about startup capital, all the things that would make us run away for just a tiny second. How did you get into all of this, Val?
Well, and I tell people all the time, you got to read my book because it's very interesting.
What's the name of the book?
Your business is his business. It's where favor takes you.
Oh, okay.
And it talks about my life story, how I got into franchising, how I got into business, and the struggle that it was at the time. Now I've been in business 42 years, but think back 42 years ago, a young Black female standing up saying, I want to own a Burger King, So the challenges of having to do that and navigate to a place that literally had not been carved out by very many people of color at all.
Right.
So tenacity, strength, courage, and faith. And I place it all in that order because had it not been for the favor of God and the faith of God, because I didn't have all the money I needed. I'm just being honest with you. But I had all the faith I needed. And so that'll take you where some of the places can't get you.
It sounds like it will.
Absolutely.
42 years later. So now we get to this point where you have established all this and you got business leaders reaching out to you during COVID to say, how do I keep my doors open?
Exactly.
How do I make it? So what are those conversations like?
So it was so many until I started a podcast or broadcast, whatever you guys want to call it, on Tuesday night called Power to Win. Because I wanted them to be encouraged to understand you can look at this as a devastation or you can look at this as an opportunity. And if you look at it as an opportunity, then how are you going to seize the opportunity? And so we took time every Tuesday night just to sow into people. And I said I was going to do it for 12 weeks. That was, my plan. But now it's been 4 years.
I see your team over here nodding his head like, she knew it was going to be longer.
I really didn't. But after 12 weeks, we couldn't stop because, as you know, it was.
So how many people are on that first podcast?
I have no idea how many people listen even today.
Really?
Because my whole life right now, Michelle, is about intergenerational transfer. And so for me, it's about being able to pour into the lives of others because God has been good to me. And so it would be very selfish of me not to give back to others what he's given to me. So right now, my entire life is dedicated to trying to make other people better.
Okay. So you do this podcast, people are calling. Some of this advice then must, it's like leaping off the site and now I got to do more. Because the questions have got to be not only sustainability, but how do I grow? How do I move forward? How do I protect my brand? I need to be in different rooms. So then is this where the idea
that leads us to the summit? That leads us to the summit.
Okay.
And so there's only so much one person can do. So I said, let's put together a summit where we can sow into the lives of entrepreneurs and leaders and corporate leaders, and not only just talk about where you are today, but where you're going and what you need in order to navigate to that place. And not only what you need to navigate to that place, how do you equip yourself to be prepared when opportunity comes? So many times opportunity can be there, but if you don't know how to grab opportunity and seize it, you can end up losing it. And the world is changing. And people need to know how to, especially our people, manage in an AI environment. Most of us don't even really understand artificial intelligence.
Right.
And so we've got to understand, how do we manage our businesses? How do we manage our ministries? How do we manage our organizations in a culture where tomorrow you may have had 5 employees, but now you only need 1. So what do you do with the other 4? Do you just set them aside and not care about their lives? Or do you find ways to create opportunity so everybody can survive?
You know, first of all, the energy that you have when you speak about these things, it's infectious.
Mhm.
Let me just tell you that right now. Like, I'm already like, okay, I got 3 ideas. I'm getting ready to go home and get busy, because you do emit this vibe, just if I can put it in the simplest terms, of anything and everything is possible if you try, if you have faith, if you're willing to do the work. So, okay. So you decide, I need to bring some people. I can't do this by myself.
Exactly.
I want to educate my folks, but I got to bring some people to the table. How do you go about finding who to bring in for this summit?
Because I focus on what I'm trying to accomplish.
Okay.
And what I'm trying to accomplish is the empowerment of leadership excellence. So I find people that know how to deliver that. And you get people like Simon T. Bailey, one of the greatest motivational speakers, in my opinion, you'll ever find or you'll ever listen to. And not only does his message resonate while you're sitting there, when you go home, you think about what he said. You got people like Roland Martin, who is, in my opinion, non-compromising. There were times where people wanted him to take down and step back, and he stood his ground because of his principles. So if you're going to be successful, you got to understand how to stand your grounds, and you have to understand my principles are critical to my success. And then now I'll throw this nugget in there for those of you that are listening. We have an individual coming, and she is probably one of the only individuals that I know of that actually does merger acquisitions for billion-dollar organizations. I want people to start thinking not just millions, but billions and trillions. We got to start broadening our horizon, our vision, in order for us to be able to capture what God has for us.
Billion-dollar acquisition.
Absolutely.
Coming to Milwaukee.
Absolutely. She'll be here during the summit.
And so this summit, this is not happening over the course of one day. This is 2-3 days.
Well, here's what, and I'm very intentional in what I do. When I started planning the summit, I said the first thing we need to do is place the priority where it belongs. So on Wednesday night, the 30th, we're going to have a time of intercession and prayer, because we need to pray for our homes, our communities, our businesses, our organizations, our family. We need to find that place of peace. So I've reached out to one of the greatest prayer warriors. Only excellence can rub against me. And you better recognize that.
Lena, Judge Taylor, one of her lines is iron sharpens iron.
That's right.
So if you're not wielding iron,
that's right.
Lena, I love you, but you ain't.
We can't step.
So who is this?
Her name is Dr. Tamara Bennett. She's out of Sacramento, California. And she understands how to grab the horn of the altar to allow you to have that tranquility and peace in your life. Because if you all messed up on the inside, you can't create future on the outside. So you have to have a peace that surpasses even your own understanding. So she's going to help us to get there. And then we can teach the principles of business operation.
So we got to set the table, set the mind,
set the table
to be able to receive.
That's right.
What's getting ready to be served.
What's getting ready to blow your mind.
Okay. Look, I need to be there for Wednesday. Look, Judge Taylor, amen. She texted, amen. And iron sharpens iron. Judge Taylor, is court over? It is still a work day. Okay.
And Wednesday night, there's no cost. I'm opening this up for the community because our city needs prayer, and our young people need to see that they can have something other than the streets. So Wednesday night, I'm opening this up. We'll be down at the Hilton Hotel, and then everybody can come.
Okay. And so after we are blown away,
mentally
ready,
focused and ready to go.
Okay, so we show up.
We show up
on Thursday.
We show up on Thursday, and you show up in order to equip yourself, not just for today, but for the future. Because it's a small, and I'll call it this, and I hope people understand what I'm saying. It's a small circle that only can see what's in the glass. You have to see how to fill the glass. And so Thursday, when you show up, you'll have Attorney Lathan there talking about artificial intelligence. What happens when there's no motor vehicle department because you don't need driver's license? 10 years from now, your kids won't know they won't need license because they won't have to drive the car drive itself. So how are you as a leader able to still survive in an environment where things are shifting and changing? And we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about how to really manage through and understand the dangers and the benefits of AI. Because a lot of people don't understand the danger of AI. AI could blow up the world if misused.
I mean, even now, when they talked about there have been medical advances that were able to be figured out by AI. And so if I can figure that out, I can figure out something that is equally as destructive.
Absolutely. Unchecked.
So, okay, that's powerful. And let me just say this, because two people have said something to me. So Senator Taylor said, or Judge Taylor, she said, see you Wednesday, Pastor Carter. And then somebody else, Michelle, I know how to train you better. You better stop calling her Val. And I think I have told you this before. Good. It is something about you. For me. I can't speak for nobody else. I am respectful. I believe in protocols. I understand all of that. But it is something about you. When I see you, the only thing that comes in my mind is Val. It's like your cousin, your big sister, your neighbor that was always like checking in for you, or you could tag along and you'd be like, where you going? I'm going. And you would turn around and be like, come out. Right? It's just something about your spirit. And so I'm not being disrespectful for all the people that's like, Michelle, put a handle on it. But it is just something about the way you present yourself. And when I tell you, you've never made a face, you've never looked at me sideways, like, look here, little girl, now come on. So I want people to understand that. And it's personal.
I'm good.
I have always been like that when it came to you. Now, Bishop, another story. John, another story. Whole nother story. I got boxing gloves on when I see John Daniels. But okay, so people will come then on Thursday, and the speakers, how many speakers per day? What's happening?
Well, each day we'll have sessions.
Okay.
We'll have a session on wellness. We'll have a session on mental health. Dr. Shepard from Baltimore, board licensed psychiatrist, will come and teach not only on mental health, because mental health is such a broad category, but your health. Where is your mind?
And I was going to say, so are we talking about this from the perspective of the business, the entrepreneur?
The entrepreneur, because if your mind is messed up as a business leader, whether you are in corporate America or you are in managing your own business, if your mind is messed up, guess what? Everything around you going to be messed up.
And when you think about the microaggressions that we frequently face, particularly as people of color, navigating not just C-suites, but whatever is beyond the C-suite, because there are rooms that you are in that many of us will never be privy to be in, just by virtue of the things that you do.
But it's my job to make sure that I leave that door open.
Absolutely.
So somebody else can come in that room.
Absolutely.
And that's what we miss so much, Michelle. We think that just because we're in the room, we've arrived. All you are is a person at the table. Your job is to make sure somebody else can sit at that table.
So I can't remember who it was that talked about how being first is never easy. And so when I brought up the microaggressions, the little things that get said, and you look sideways like, I caught it. we gonna keep the meeting moving. But I saw what you just did. I understand that you question how I got here. You want to try to figure out where did my resource. I see it all, but we're gonna just keep the meeting moving.
Exactly.
But mentally, that wears on you. And trying to figure out, do I belong, and what do I bring to the table, how I'm being, scrutinized and looked at differently. And a lot of business owners never slow down to take care of that piece. So that is and you don't see many summits that actually bring that to the table. Okay.
So we got that there.
Okay.
So, and then we have, of course, Valerie Mosley coming, who is one of Wall Street greatest financiers, teaching you not just the principles of money. See, because you can have money and not have wealth.
What does that mean?
Oh, really? You got to come to the summit.
I'm trying to get free. I'm trying to get free.
Gotta get all the information. Try not to register.
Right.
You got to go to the website and register.
You can't pull wool over
She see it through the game.
You can't pull wool over
I'm trying to get as much free stuff as I can. Okay, but no, you can say that line again.
You can have money and not have wealth.
What does that mean?
You got to come to the summit. You got to come to the summit.
I tried it twice. I'm sorry, y'all. Y'all gonna have to register. I can't get her to tell us. Oh, but that's you packed a lot in that statement.
Yes. We got 2 days of impactful information. And then we have a track for educators, because we need to know how to educate our children properly. Everybody cannot educate our children. First of all, everybody doesn't love our children. And we have to love these kids until we love, and I'll call it the devil out of them, if you really want to know the truth. Because all they see is what's on social media, what's on TV. We've got to get the culture, the home culture, instilled or reinstilled. And so educators have your kids 6, 7, 8 hours a day.
Right.
And they need to know they have a responsibility to make sure that child operates, walks, talks in excellence. And if they fail to do that, they're failing to do their job.
When my son was little, I used to tell people I had a moment where it dawned on me, because I'm a traditional parent. During the weekday, young guy, he went to bed at 8:00. And I would tell people, because he had said something one day that was so off-putting, it caught my attention. And I'm like, where did you learn this? Because you didn't hear this in our house. And then, so my husband and I were talking, and I said, do you appreciate that somebody else, the education system, the daycare, they have this boy 60 hours a week, Monday through Friday. We have him for 10 because we dropped him off at 6 in the morning. We picked him up at 6 in the evening. They took him to school, brought him back to the daycare, and then we picked him up. We had him from 6 p.m. until he went to bed at 8 p.m. So the folks that were shaping to a great extent the mind, the character, the values, the beliefs of my baby, they weren't in my house. And literally we had a moment. And I was so embarrassed by what he said. And I'm trying to figure out, like, where did you get that from? And it wasn't, anything like any cursing or anything like that. But just real briefly, and people that listen to my show, they've heard me say this before. One day I took him to the Y on 12th and North Avenue. When we first came, we lived out in Brown Deer. And so I took him to the Y and got ready to get out the car. And the door was locked. And I'm like, I know I unlocked this door. So I hit the unlock button. But this time I saw him. He was about 5 or 6 years old. He locked the door back. And I said, Derek, what are you doing? And he said, Mommy, are these people going to hurt us? And I said, what people? He said, the Black people. This boy is cold black. The Black people. And I had to go home and talk to my husband, like, we got to reevaluate what we're doing and who we got our baby exposed to. He didn't learn that in our house.
Exactly.
So to the point that you are making about, everybody don't love like we love, and don't have the same expectations for excellence like we do. So this
Michelle, I
is
drove
important.
my son from my house, or my brother did, or whoever was available,
Whoever we could enlist,
all the way to Holy Redeemer every day. so he could be in that kind of environment. And we've got to get our schools back to the place to where they're a safe haven that teaches excellence, and things of that nature. So if we instill it, they'll pick it up.
Okay, so let me see. Are you okay on time? I need to take a quick break. Is that all right?
Go ahead.
All right, family, we're gonna take a quick break. We are talking to none other than Dr. Valerie Daniels Carter, Reverend Guru. I prefer big baller shot caller, but y'all know I can be special. We'll be right back, family.
Supermodel, fresh out of Air magazine.
Oh my goodness. You know what? I cannot stand you, Jermaine. Right out.
Ooh, I felt
You ain't
that
gonna
thing.
act right.
No, I ain't
You
never
know
act
what?
right.
You was that kid in church. The usher would always have to come stand next to.
No, because
Just
no,
that friendly pressure.
no.
Oh, that
Listen,
was you.
Mother
You gonna think that
Rideout,
was him.
Mother Rideout had a right hand that would go across your face so fast. You embarrassed Mrs. Rideout. Oh boy, she smacked all 9 of us at one time. I couldn't believe it. I didn't know how she did it. But Doc, she pow, everybody fell over. Mama, how did you do that? Jesus.
Powerful woman.
Yeah, that's it.
Oh my goodness.
I mean,
Well,
everything went down.
Nah, I was slick. I used to sit with my friends. I was like, Mom, can I sit with my friends? And she was like, yeah, go ahead. but I better not see or hear nothing. Man, without fail. This was Usher. She did not like me. Oh my God, I couldn't stand Miss Johnson. She would come by me and she would purposely hold out her little napkin so I could spit my gum out. I'd be like, oh my God. I just put this gum in my mouth. I had the Bible up in front of me when I put it in my mouth. There is no way you saw me do it. And my mother would be looking all the way from the other side of the church. I just put my head down. I was like, yeah, okay, I'm gonna get it as soon as I get in the car. My mom was like, embarrass me one more time. So, Jermaine, I'm glad to know I wasn't alone.
No, you weren't
You
alone.
and Debo.
Oh, we was at Rehoboth on the floor.
Oh, you went to Rehoboth?
Yeah, I grew
Okay.
up at Rehoboth.
Okay,
Yeah,
that's where
where
we come from. They let you in the church? 11th and Vine. Okay,
Absolutely.
I got you. So for folks that are just now joining us, getting in your car, ending your day at work, we are joined in the studio by Dr. Valerie Daniels Carter, Reverend, business leader, look, entrepreneur extraordinaire,
Musician. She can play too.
Minister of music. See, this sounds like my granddaddy. You got to always have more than one source for checks to hit that mailbox. my granddaddy, he didn't teach us nothing.
Yeah.
We got multiple talents and jobs in this house. So we are learning about an amazing summit that is coming to Milwaukee, that Power to Win, Excel Leader and Entrepreneur Summit. And the theme, it looks like for the summit, soaring above the norm.
Soaring above the norm.
Why that theme? We're going to keep talking about, who you have coming. Oh, let's see, we got callers.
Doctor.
I'll get to him. You got the flyer. Okay, so anybody that's watching on YouTube or Facebook, we do have the flyer posted. You can get information, QR codes are there about how to be able to register, become a sponsor, go to the website for the summit. But this soaring above the norm, where do we get the thing from?
Well, the thing was something that I was inspired to pen, because we're not average. And if you think you're average, then you're never going to excel. You have to create what I call, and you see I have the eagle, that's a symbol that I have in my company. Eagles, they don't fly with turkeys. And so at the end of the day, you got to soar.
I think in one of the promo videos, I heard you say that.
Absolutely.
And I started cracking up. And, because at first I had a special moment like, do turkeys fly? And
Jive turkeys don't. That's for sure.
So I had a whole moment, but it made me laugh because I understood exactly what you were saying. And I think that there are people, though, that even I have to get comfortable with the idea that they're intended to soar. People will tell themselves no. They will be afraid of their own power. And you would hear this stuff, and as somebody who's not afraid, but clearly I don't live up to my potential. But I would hear people say that, and I'm like, what do you mean afraid of your own power? Because with that power comes responsibility. And it's one thing to get there. How do you stay there? When you drop that first album and it goes to number one, the fear when it's time for the second one to drop, will I be able to duplicate that? And so there are some people, I did it the first time. I'm going to live off that. I'm okay. Have you ever run into, as you have dealt with people in the business community, folks that are afraid of success?
Absolutely. You run into people that stop after they reach what they consider their goal, rather than challenging themselves to create a new goal. You have to always recreate yourself. And so I encourage people all the time, and I'll say this publicly. My vision is always greater than my pocket, but it doesn't stop me from dreaming.
I love it. I think I live like that too. I think I know that feeling very, very well.
So don't feel bad because you say, I don't have this or I don't have that. See, you're looking at the wrong side of that coin. And sometimes we have to understand that I got this vision. I don't know how I'm going to get there. I don't even know the pathway sometimes to get there. But I know that sometimes faith is blind. and it takes me where I need to go. So I just got to follow it.
I mean, and what is that? I don't know if it's a quote, poem, but faith is taking that first step when you can't even see the staircase. But you got to go ahead and
But
step.
you got to go help and you got to step.
All right. Yeah.
I just want to say this, just even from the biblical term, faith is the substance of things hoped for and the evidence of things not seen. So you can't see it, but you believe that you can obtain it. And just having that faith in the business world, it would get you far.
I think you certainly have to have something that grounds you.
Yeah.
You know,
Oh, absolutely.
That holds you up in those dark days, them lean days.
Because you're going to have them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's the reality. And that's one of the things we will cover in this conference is, you know, the reality of the recovery, the reality of real life. You know, some people get on this pedestal and they act like they never had no problems.
Yeah.
They act like they haven't ever been through anything. Well, if you haven't been through anything, I'm really not going to get too close to you, because then you won't understand,
Yeah.
you know, when it comes time to help me get out of this. So Michelle, literally taking charge doesn't mean that you are in charge all the time. It means that you have the ability to take it when it's necessary.
So, and that made me pivot back to Roland Martin,
Mhm.
because he is going to be one of the featured speakers.
Mhm.
And during the break, you know, I remembered when he was taken off the air
Mhm.
because of comments. People didn't like his public commentary, and other people that might have broke them. But to the point of believing in myself, staying true to who I am, reinventing myself, whatever you will, this man now has his own network.
Mhm.
And people are actively seeking him out, and other folks now have shows on his network.
Mhm.
And so what was that like? Did you know Roland before bringing him in to speak, or?
I did. I
Okay.
did. And can I just tell you, the thing that I appreciate most about Roland is his tenacity. I remember one time he told me, he says, when I was on CNN, I was the only man that had 2 suits, one in the closet and one on my back. And people would ask me, why do you have a suit in the closet? He said, because when I change, I still need to look good. You know, so everybody else kept on the same suit, you know.
I
love it.
I love it.
And you know, every time he had a time to refresh, he came out looking a different way, and they didn't understand that, you know. So, but that's our culture,
Right.
because we always want to be at a place of where when we reflect what we want others to see in us.
Back to that red piece you had on before before you left. Okay, so I want Dr. Ward, I see you. Well, let me bring him in so we can continue to talk about the last offerings of the summit. Hey, Dr. Ward, how you doing today?
Not bad at all. And I want to say to the Reverend Dr. Daniels, Valerie Daniels, I've been in tune with her family for 100 years. Her brother, I've noticed his climb, John Daniels, as a partner in Qualls and Brady. He was not a partner when I met him. I bought 30% incentive from him, straight up. I paid him to know he was the bank. And for your Reverend, for a ride out. I wondered if his grandmother, whoever that was, whooping him in church, know what my auntie knew about the silent whooping.
Oh,
The
yeah.
wild silent whooping is a pinch. Nobody hears it.
No, Doc, I could tell you one
But it
better.
worked. It worked.
I could tell you one better. Mrs. Rideout had this look that she would give you, and you knew you didn't want to go home after church. I don't want to go home.
Can I go home with somebody else?
Mama, I'm going with Sister Cunningham. I'm not going home tonight. I ain't joking, but she look at you like, you know what time it is.
Another thing for Valerie, does she know that she is Cedric's twin?
Oh my
and
God.
Sermon and everything.
Look, I know she's probably heard that once or twice. Yes, sir. Thank you, Dr. Ward. We appreciate the call.
Y'all have a good one.
Yes, sir.
Appreciate you.
Yes, sir. It is hard to look at you and not think of Bishop
Mhm.
Daniel. It's
Mhm.
just it is hard. Because he had an infectious smile too.
Yeah.
And again, when your other brother was giving me a hard time, Bishop would lean in and be like, Psh, it's all right.
I got you.
I got you. And then I would cut my eye back at your other brother and be like, now what? But okay, so tell us about what else is going to be happening. So Roland is a keynote speaker. Who else?
Simon Bailey is the other keynote speaker.
Okay.
Then Dr. Sandra Riley, who is an accomplished wellness. She's from Pepperdine University.
Okay.
And can certify individuals in a number of areas of business. She will be there to talk about how to do certain things. And if they go to my website, which is www.valeriedanielscarter.com, they'll see the bios of all of these individuals.
I read them. Dynamic.
We're bringing some dynamic people to Milwaukee.
Absolutely.
Because we deserve it. And at this point in life, you have to make a decision. Do I take care of myself in such a way that I create a road of excellence for myself? Or do I just allow myself to continue status quo? And status quo is not good enough.
You know, I thought about, I regularly read Black Enterprise.
Mm-hmm.
I see like summits and conferences offered all the time. There was a Black male one I recently just told a couple of friends about that was happening down in Atlanta, because I'm always looking for opportunities to improve myself. I was telling people I was just out at Congressional Black Caucus,
Mm-hmm.
and because, you know, policy is my sweet spot, it literally is where I go to get revived,
Mm-hmm.
to be reminded, inspired, motivated,
Mm-hmm.
being around like-minded people that all care about policy and legislation. And I'm seeing like some of my icons, the heroes, sheroes that have done this work. You know, Maxine Waters walks by and I lose my mind, like, oh my God, it's Miss Maxine. You know, so I think the same thing. I remember when my son, I had him going to empowerment conferences,
Mm-hmm.
and I used to tell him, even as a college student, and then after he graduated, you want to be around people that have the same interests to the extent that you can, that are going to motivate you to be your best self.
Mm-hmm.
People that have been there, got the answers, at least they can help put you on the right path. They may not know everything, but they know more than you do.
Mm-hmm.
And so, you know, he would be like, well, Mom, I don't have it. I don't have the registration fee. I got it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I got it. And he would call me back. And I remember he actually got featured in Black Enterprise, standing at the mic asking a question, because my other rule is you don't go to a room and nobody knows you're not in the room.
Mm-hmm.
People need to always know you in the room.
Mm-hmm.
And so I don't care what the question is, make sure it makes sense. But I sent you there to take it all in.
Mm-hmm.
For people who are sitting back and listening and like, well, this sounds, you know, like a good conference, but what makes it different than any other conference? I mean, like, I could go here, I could go here. What's special about Power to Win?
Well, first of all, I'm there. So let's start there. But really, this conference is designed for people that are serious. And I'm going to be very transparent with you. I was speaking with some advisors when I was trying to decide what type of conference to have. And they told me, they said, Val, they said, we would prefer that you would have a conference and you would invite 20 of the top tiered women in the world and pour into them and allow them to pay you $25,000, $40,000 a head because they need that type of advice. That was not where I was. And they kept pushing me, trying to create that type of conference. I said, I really want to touch lives and touch people that want to invest in themselves. When you don't invest in yourself, you can't expect anybody else to.
Right.
So I wanted, and we've limited even this conference because we want to be able to deal with the reality of how you become what you need to become. And so not only will you experience and rub elbows and shoulder close up with phenomenal leaders, but you'll hear life-changing experiences that'll make you think tomorrow about your decision. And then we have what we call the summit after the summit, where we continue, not just for the summit, we continue to send out things that will help business leaders and corporate leaders and ministry leaders to think about continuing their process. So it is the summit, and then it's after the summit.
Without fail, I can honestly say I have been to conferences to a point that was made earlier that when I left, I couldn't shake it.
Mm-hmm.
It changed the way I walk. It changed the way I thought about my day.
Mm-hmm.
When I looked at productivity, I actually started something. I don't think I've ever said this out loud, that at the end of the day, sometimes it's only mentally, but usually there's a journal. And, people write their to-do list.
Mm-hmm.
I actually work back, which is special. I'm just real different. But as opposed to like, I got these 12 things I want to accomplish today. I will work back and I will look at the end of the day and say, what did you do today?
Mm.
Write it down, put it, let's talk through it. I do self-talk. Let's walk through. What did you accomplish today? What did you do meaningful today? How did you improve yourself today?
Mm-hmm.
And where did you take a misstep?
Mm-hmm.
Or where did you do something that in hindsight, I wish I could have did it differently.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the conversation I have with myself before I go to bed at night, because that also frames my next day.
Mm-hmm.
But that piece about taking the time to invest in me,
mm-hmm.
because I rip and run for everybody. God knows I do, including the lady, the judge that was texting.
She's a good judge.
But rip and run.
Mm-hmm.
And, then you realize, it almost reminds me, I had a conversation with this brother. I went to go get my phone, and he was in there to get a phone for his daughter. Her and her husband was going through something, and the phone plan was under the husband's name, and she needed a phone. So he was helping his daughter get a phone.
Mm-hmm.
And while he was getting her phone, I'm listening, ear hustling. He's sitting at the next thing. And he was being a daddy,
Mm-hmm.
It's cost too much money. All this grumbling and carrying out. And I just finally said, you need to quit.
Mm-hmm.
Buy that girl that phone. You're going to buy it. That's why you in here.
Mm-hmm.
And while you at it, she need the top of the line. He was like, you going to pay for it? That's why you here.
Mm-hmm.
And so now me and the salesperson, we ganging up on him.
Uh-huh.
And then this other young lady, she walks over and she looks at his phone.
Uh-huh.
And she was like, can I see your phone?
Mm-hmm.
And she twirls it around and holds it up to the light. And she was like, it still works. And he said, what you mean?
Mm-hmm.
She said, yeah, this is like a series 4. And he said, and she
Mm-hmm.
said, we on 20 now.
Mm-hmm.
You need to buy your own self a phone
Mm-hmm.
while you were here taking care of your daughter.
Mm-hmm.
And so he grumbled some more, and then he looked over at me and he said, you think she being straight?
Mm-hmm.
I said, bro, you got a Fred Flintstone phone. I said, you go to work every day, right? He said, yeah. I said, you going to spend that money on that iPhone 15 for her, right?
Mm-hmm.
He said, I'm going to get it. I said, do something for yourself.
Mm-hmm.
We will give to everyone else.
Mm-hmm.
And we will not pour into ourselves. And that's just not clothes. Because,
Mm-hmm.
now we don't mind spending a little change on some outfits.
Mm-hmm.
And they Louboutins, red bottoms. And, I ain't going to talk about the person sitting behind you.
It's always good looking good.
With it. Did he just look? He just
Always.
won. He won the best dressed at Denim and Diamonds at the country club. I was just with him.
Listen,
And he
man,
won
I've
for
been seeing
me.
this cat for years, and every time I see him, He's always.
I tell
there.
people, Antoine,
Every
be
time.
sharp because it's Tuesday. Look, can you get back to the conference? Because it's Tuesday. Look, yeah, put the camera on Antoine.
Yeah, put it on there. Hey, take me to where you shop at, brother.
Because it's Tuesday. Yeah, and I want to be clear.
And it's not two horses, huh?
Yeah, I was gonna say that's the real polo with the real horse. That ain't a cow on this shirt, and the dude with a bat. That's the real deal.
So to that point of, and people see it though, like the way we can joke about him. You know, you see when you it shows up when you spend that time and that those resources, whatever you got to do to get yourself to be prepared. Because, like you said, it's nothing worse than when opportunity presents itself and you're not ready. I've had friends who've had to call me to borrow a suit because they had not invested in clothes, and I'm like, "How you trying to move in these rooms?" The call came, and you calling me. What if I went at home? And I'm way bigger than you. She said, safety pin it up and let's go. So for people that have heard and they're listening and they want to know how to register, okay, Michelle, this sounds good. I want to come. What should they do?
They can go right to my website at www.valeriedanielscarter.com. That's www.valeriedaniels.com. They can register right on the website, and they can attend the conference. It's visionary. It's inclusive, male, female, young, old, entrepreneur, leader, corporate executive, ministry executive, because leadership is not just defined by one category.
Right.
Either you are or you aren't.
Absolutely. So just so you know, is this the gentleman that wants to know?
Yeah.
Well, let's just bring him up. He can ask himself. Hey, caller, what's happening?
Hey, I was just calling to see if I could get information for Pastor
See if I say Pastor Val.
yeah, for her book.
Okay, we'll get that information for you. Dr. Carter, how can folks find the book?
Absolutely. They can go on Amazon, or either they can call my office, 414-365-9003. Valencia will make sure you get that book. And it talks about my life story, how I got started, and what I had to do in order to maintain.
Appreciate that.
All right. Thank you, bruh. So just so we make sure we close it out, because I don't know if we got to the last day of the conference, but any of the additional speakers, because I don't know, did we talk about Jonathan Shepard?
Oh, Dr. Shepard is the psychiatrist. We didn't talk about, well, we talked a little bit about AI, Attorney Lathan handling AI,
Okay,
Valerie Mosley.
AI. Okay.
So it is really a conference where you, and then you talked about, our keynoters, but it is also a conference where people will have the opportunity to ask questions.
Okay, so it's interactive.
It's interactive. There's sessions that will be interactive and allow you, to really dive into some things that you need to deal with. And then we'll have some banks there that are prepared to offer and allow access to capital for those that need access to capital. So we're working this thing.
Oh, you should have led with that.
I'm coming. I'm coming.
Well, you told me you trying to say the best for last. You should have led with that.
Yeah, Jack, I'm
I mean, because a lot of people don't get to have those conversations. Number one, I'm afraid to, because I'm afraid what you're going to tell me. So to be able to do it in a safe space where, this is informational and we're talking about what's needed and you're not being judged in that moment is so important.
Yeah.
Man, that's incredible. This is getting better and better by the moment. So now tell people again the dates when it's happening.
October 30th through November 1st, right here in Milwaukee, down at the Hilton City Center.
But people are coming in from around the country.
They're coming in from all over, but I got to make sure home is taken care of.
So are you doing a session?
I am doing a session. I'm actually doing 2 sessions.
What are your
Oh,
sessions?
y'all, you got to come.
Oh,
no.
I just actually, she wanted to tell you a name of the session. See, this how she got money, because like, you got to pay for the name and shit. I can't even give you the name of the session. So you're doing 2 though.
I'm doing 2 sessions.
Okay.
And it's interesting. I'll share this with you quickly. When I became chair of AAA.
Chair of AAA.
Yes.
Like AAA.
Like
That
66 million members. Okay.
Wha-
And
I can't with this woman.
Well, no, Michelle, let me tell you this.
Okay.
And that's why it's so important. And that's why I get so much joy in intergenerational transfer. Unless you have experienced things, sometimes you can't even conceptualize them. I had gone, they sent me to Austria to go to a meeting, a AAA board meeting. And they drove me up into the mountains to a hotel. And I was in a car, chauffeur driven. When I got to the hotel, the driver said to me, ma'am, hold on right here. I'm going to make sure you get your room. So I'm thinking he's going, like we do. We go in the hotel, get our key, put our credit card down.
Right.
They drive me through the hotel.
Whoa.
And I sit in the back seat of the car, and they register me in my car.
No. What? What?
I'm trying to put vision.
Oh my God.
But had I not been in a place to be able to experience that, I would never be able to tell anybody that.
That does not even sound believable.
I got pictures.
I got proof.
Oh my God.
So this is what we're trying to bring to our young people. This is what we're trying to share and cultivate within other people. It's not just the average, it's like a priority status. When you're in the airline, they treat you totally different.
Let me be clear. When I got put on game to the little club that I don't have to sit out in the little waiting area with everybody. Wait a minute. Right this way. I'm like, oh, it's a whole nother world behind the main lobby area of the. Oh yeah, this is for me.
Exactly.
This is for me.
Last week when I went to Bangkok, when we walked into the hotel, there was a man there with knickerbockers on, and he said, Dr. Carter, you will go up to the 24th floor to be registered. So I'm trying to give you all priority. That's what this conference is about.
Oh my God.
Lord have mercy.
So look, people, make sure that you visit the website, that you go and check out the offerings. Look at the bios on the people that's coming. When we say heavy hitters, these are folks that, while I'm not saying they're not accessible as human beings, just the circles that they travel in, many of us may not bump these kind of shoulders just in the course of everyday life. So we have to put ourselves in position to do that.
Yourself in a position.
And that's the thing I learned a long time ago. I have figured out that you have to put yourself in position. And whenever it takes for me to be in position, that's what I do.
That sounds like the judge talking.
No, that's the judge messing with me. That's why she say iron sharpen iron. We both come to the table equally equipped. So I just want to tell you how much I appreciate you taking a moment to stop by. But I'm gonna tell you, if time and your schedule permits, I'm gonna ask you to do it one more time.
Not a problem.
Because number one, I know that there was more that could have been said, but I think that people being able to hear from you directly, I think it's inspirational, motivational. It moves people to action. And so, while I may not be at church on Sunday, that's what we doing.
Hey,
that's how we go. That's how we go.
I'm telling you.
Trying to put my business in the street. Oh, well, look, Miss Hattie used to know when I would come to church. Because Miss Hattie would always. Now, if anybody baby me, baby, Hattie Daniels loves her some Michelle.
Yes, she did.
Sit right here, yes, ma'am. Preferential treatment, John. But anyway, I'm gonna see. I'm gonna work with your team and see if we can get you back one more time.
Okay.
I think it's that important. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Oh, that's right. You can hear Holy Redeemer on the station. I don't know all the
Every
times.
Sunday?
Every Sunday. What time? 11 a.m.
11 a.m.
11 to noon. Wonderful. So see, I ain't gotta go. I
Well,
can just
listen.
turn on the radio.
No, you got to go because it says, you got to go get some in-person church. So they can slap you with the blessed or they gonna put a whole bottle on your head. You're gonna be greasy. I'm just saying, she needs some grease. You know, grease and oil is different. So she need grease.
You so
It
dirty.
feel the same, but it's different.
You so dirty. As soon as this pastor get up out of here.
Oh Lord, it's time for me to go.
As soon as she hit that comment, it is on and popping in here. Dr. Carter, thank you so much. Phenomenal interview. And like I said, you made a difference.
Thank you.
In just the remarks today, you made a difference. Even if people can't make it, you made a difference. Because creating something that people don't even know exists, the visual. Now I got to find it. Real quick, Oprah Winfrey had some $600 truffles at an event she held at the house. If State Representative Lakeisha Myers say one more time to me, now you know we got to find these $600 truffles. And I want to be at the place where they serve. So we getting ready to fly abroad because they are brought in, they're imported. We go into the stores.
There you go.
You gave us something new to think about. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And to the
Appreciate
team
it.
behind you, fam, much love. All right, family, that's the show for the day. Look, y'all got to hear from the Vice President's sister, Maya Harris, and our very own Dr. Valerie Daniels Carter. All right, family, that's the show for the day. Okay, ride out.
Listen, I
I'll
want to
holler
say
at
this.
you.
Wait, before you leave.
Yes.
Sister Carter,
Yes, sir.
I want to play Cowbell, the Bucks halftime show. I got a mean stick. I mean, I play hard. They gonna have to mic me up. They gonna mic me up heavy though. I'm gonna be out there with some red bottles.
But I tell y'all all the time, everybody can't come. Debo, appreciate you, bro. All right, family, y'all be safe this weekend. I'll talk to y'all next week. Peace.
Okay.